Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany, this is the Brittany React Show, and on this show we talk all things entertainment news and movie news. Today we have a very interesting stream to talk about. I don't know why there's been so much crazy Marvel and Disney news coming out the past 2 weeks, but as someone who has a podcast who talks about entertainment news, I have to say this is nice for me because I'm like, oh wow, yes, finally so much to talk about. This is great. So we have some more Marvel news to talk about. Unfortunately for the Marvels, like the movie The Marvels, it's not doing well at all. In fact, literally every update about it just continuously gets worse and worse. It's embarrassing, and we're gonna get through that. Also, the whole Rachel Zegler Snow White situation is also only getting worse somehow. We have some behind the scenes rumors and some scoopers sort of saying things like Disney's very upset with her, upset with her and the whole situation, and how the movie's budget is now ballooning, and I can totally see that, and how this movie might cost upwards of $300 million when it's all said and done. So it's a huge disaster. Disney has a lot of fires they have to put out, basically. But how are you guys doing? Hi, the cover girl. Hi, Stephanie Williams. Hi, Rhea Rue. Hi, Mickey. Hi, Cinnamon Roll. Hi, Ethereal Dragon. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Desi B. Hi, Stephanie Williams. Hi, Nicholas. Hi, Josh Loves Movies. And thank you to each and every one of you who shows up every day. I greatly appreciate you. All right, so let's just get straight into it because we have some interesting things to discuss today. Walter says, why is Hollywood such a disaster area? Well, I feel like there's been a lot of warning signs even before the pandemic that, the industry was kind of a mess, but I think the pandemic really accelerated a lot of negative trends that were already happening. Yes, I did find the spider, Rhea Rue. We're gonna hope there's no spider today in this stream. If you watched on Friday, you understand. So I just think it's the pandemic with a combination of streaming that is just making the entire industry pretty messed up. Hi, Nate. All right, so let's get on with it. Spiders, chimes, and tech issues. I know. That should have been the headline of my last live stream. Again, if you were there, you know. All right, moving on. So we just have entertainment news for today. Because what on earth really is going on with Disney? We'll get to the whole Snow White situation, but I do want to start with Echo. Because okay, firstly, I do want to say Marvel Studios did just release their new trailer for Echo, and I have to say I actually thought it looked pretty decent, and we are going to look at it together in a second. But here's why I feel like they started to ruin it even after I was like, oh yeah, this is actually a pretty good trailer. Because I could just tell I'm pretty good at picking up, if you really read between the lines when news comes out about any given topic, but really when it comes to Disney and Marvel, you can sort of see there's another narrative going on in between the lines, especially when, say, Marvel is trying to leak information to the press to get fans excited. And I could see the sort of narrative take shape after the Echo trailer dropped. And I'm going to explain to you what I mean. But firstly, let's just get to the trailer. I'm glad a lot of you in my comments agree that this Echo trailer is actually looking pretty good. I know I hate on Marvel a lot, but I have to give, flowers where I see fit. And I actually thought this trailer looked good. So let's just get to this trailer first before I get into the whole narrative that's shaping around it that I think is really weird and very bad. But yes, let's get to the trailer. So firstly, for those of you who have no idea who Echo is, join the club. Most people don't know who Echo is. She's only made an appearance in Hawkeye in 1 or 2 episodes. She's not a major character. They really should have never have made an entire show about Echo. Maybe she should have just showed up in the Daredevil show, but an entire series around her was misguided. This show was actually supposed to come out a while ago, and they kept delaying it because they knew fans weren't excited for it. And I think this show is essentially made in the mindset, in the era of when Marvel thought they could do no wrong. this is how old this show is and how long ago this was supposed to come out. Like, I think this was supposed to come out shortly after Hawkeye, and that came out in 2021. So yeah, they know this show is a stinker. They know that not many fans were excited about it before the trailer. So the way they edited this trailer is to make it seem super violent, super vicious, super rated R. In fact, this is Marvel's first TV MA rated show, so this is supposed to be very violent like the Netflix series are. And boy, do they highlight that a lot in this trailer, as you will see. And it does have Kingpin and Daredevil in it as well, so that's why you will see them. Yeah, she's also from the comics as well. That's true. Okay, getting to the trailer. So, I mean, you can tell that right away they're going for a more serious tone, because even the color palette is very muted and serious. And they focus so much on Kingpin. Like, you would think this is a Kingpin show first and an Echo show second, but Kingpin is only like a guest character in this show. And again, notice how much they focused on the action and the violence. Again, this is Echo's show, but look at how much they're just focusing on Kingpin here. Like, you can tell Marvel just has, like, no faith that anyone actually cares about Echo herself, because she's, like, the 5th most important thing in this trailer. Josh Loves Movie says Echo is the first Marvel Disney Plus series to drop all 5 episodes to binge. Exactly. That's how little faith Marvel has in this series. That they're dropping all 5 episodes on one day. Usually on Disney Plus, they like to do the weekly release model. They're not even doing a weekly release for the show. They're just like, all right, we're just going to rip the Band-Aid off. We're just going to, like, drop all 5 episodes on one day. That's why I think the editor, whoever edited this trailer, should get an award, because there was no hype or excitement for this show before this trailer. Now everyone's like, oh, yes, something serious and gritty from Marvel. Look at Kingpin. And I'm just like, really? One well-edited trailer and you're all just, like, hyped again? I mean, I guess that's fine. But going back to it, I know, you know, Shelley Lee, I do not love my muted colors. But going back. I mean, again, the fact that they're highlighting the blood on the fingers, the blood on his suit, like, they're like, yeah, this is very serious, very edgy. Take it seriously. I mean, again, it looks good. I have to say it. It doesn't look bad. It's a well-edited trailer. We have no idea if the show itself will be good, but it's edited decently.
You have so much pain in you.
It kind of looks like a Netflix series, like in the same vein as a Daredevil or a Jessica Jones.
But you can't contain it.
I mean, again, lots of violence that seem to be hearkening on it very much so. Like it's the main focus of the whole trailer. It looks decent, is what I'm saying. Very different from the other Disney Plus shows. So you saw Daredevil. It's good. I mean, how are you guys feeling about this trailer? Is it selling you like it sold apparently the rest of the fan base? I think there's a real chance that this might, well, it's not going to do huge numbers, but it might not embarrass itself. It might not embarrass itself. Who knows? I don't know. I was very surprised to see how much positive buzz this trailer was able to generate. I mean, look at how much they're trying to highlight here that it's TVMA. They know their audience. They're like, oh, look, blood, gore. We're going to be edgy. They're like, oh, please watch us. We're going to be good, I promise. So how did you guys feel about the trailer? Baby says this is probably going to be really bad. It could be. I feel like this trailer did is they probably edited all of the show's most edgiest violent moments. I have a feeling the show is actually going to be very slow paced and probably going to have lots of serious scenes about emotions and identity, because if you actually go to what I think the director, he did an entire variety interview about this show, and mostly what he was talking about was the representation. Because I think the main reason they made this show was a very misguided attempt at representation for both deaf people and Native Americans. I think that's the entire reason this show exists. And again, while that's very nice, this show is probably going to flop. And again, that's not a good look for everyone involved, especially for the group that you're trying to represent. This would have been so good if, like, you really properly introduced this character in a much more popular show like Daredevil, or maybe a movie, so this show actually could have had a chance. Again, there's another example of where I'm like, they do representation so wrong, and a lot of times it just ends up backfiring. Okay, Desi B, yeah, the gunshot to the head took me back. Yeah, I wasn't ready for that either. Josh Loves Movie says, I have hope in Echo since it's from the Better Call Saul writers. Again, Better Call Saul, same writers, Breaking Bad, obviously, same universe. So there is a lot to look forward to. This show could be good. But the fact that they're releasing all the episodes in one day, that does not scream confidence to me. Doesn't scream confidence at all. Burning Daylighter, you think it's going to flop as well? A lot of you think it's still going to flop. I love how this trailer didn't seem to impress most of you at all. Adlad says, not familiar with Echo and don't have Disney Plus, so it doesn't really matter to me. I'm just disappointed that Disney felt the need to go into MA territory. That's a great point, and I feel like not enough people are talking about that. Disney is, like, venturing more and more into, like, mature, like, actual mature for adult content. And this is going on Disney Plus, not just Hulu. So, it's going on Disney Plus and Hulu, but the fact that it's going on Disney Plus at all is like, this isn't really Disney content, you know? I know they're age restricting it now, but everyone knows you can easily get around age restrictions. You know, it says a lot about our modern society that I guess Disney feels the need to go so heavy R to even get an audience. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if, like, today's audience can even handle, or do they even want more, like, wholesome, earnest fare. I feel like people just have, like, an unsubstantiated bloodlust. Like, I don't know. It's like suddenly everyone sees bloody hands on Kingpin and they're like, oh, this is going to be the best show ever. I don't know what's going on about that, but it's definitely a thing. Katie Burke says, I heard something about being under a Marvel spotlight. Yes, that's what I was about to get into, and what I think there's like a weird narrative that they're trying to run with this. Let me get into it. So, the reason why I keep saying it's so surprising to me that, at least within the fan base, a lot of people had a very strong positive reaction to this trailer. And I think because of that, like, Marvel has decided to really lean into it. Because, again, there was a whole bunch of articles from Variety, like the director and the producers, all talking about the show. And, like, something that they commonly talk about in all of these articles is, like, oh, it's very different. It's very cool. It's very edgy. It's not lame. Like, literally, this quote here is, like, saying that her powers in the comics are lame, and that in this one, it's not going to be lame. They're going to change it. It's like, okay, what a weird way to put down the source material, but okay. And then in here, they're describing it, it's similar to Daredevil, Breaking Bad, John Wick, which I think the way the trailer is edited, it's very obvious that they were trying to make you feel like it's going to be like those shows. Is it going to be at the same quality as Breaking Bad? I highly doubt it, but they want you to think it might be. Again, it's just like, you can tell very much. Just the narrative around this is so like, oh, it's so edgy and different. That's why you should go see it. And I'm like, is it though? I feel like this might be a bit of like misleading advertising. Because I have a strong feeling the show is actually going to be very slow. But we'll see. Marvel TV Head says that Echo is a new direction for the brand, especially for Disney Plus. Again, it is very different because it's mature. It's super, R-rated. And I don't know if I like Disney going into R-rated territory. I'm not going to lie. I thought they were supposed to stay family-friendly. They should stay family-friendly. I don't know if this is good for their brand, especially at a moment in time where people are starting to question Disney's values and morals and what they consider to be, appropriate for kids. Is this really the time to start expanding into mature content, even if it is under age restriction? I just don't know. I'm very torn about this. Hi, Jojo Rod. Burning Daylighter, I know the fact that it's only 5 episodes, again, I'm getting bad. The trailer is very well edited. It did its job. I don't know I think it's a very deceptive trailer. I have a very strong feeling. Little Joe's Animation says, not them throwing shade at the source material. They always do that. Why do the executives and producers and whatnot at Disney always need to feel like they have to put down the source material to elevate their own? Don't they realize that the source material is why they're even having a job? Like, I feel like that's so backwards, and they do this all the time. Aaron Lopez says, I hope the fight choreography is on point for them to be hyping it up so much. Yeah, I mean, for all of this, the fight scenes better be good, right? Katie Brooks says, will also be interesting to see if this will be required watching giving the mature reading. Well, here's the thing. Since someone already brought it up, Marvel is introducing a new label called Marvel's Spotlight, which will be a whole label given to certain projects they feel are more character-driven and they have street-level stakes over the larger MCU continuity. And they have this whole logo thing, which I'm actually going to play it for you because I think it's hilarious. Just listen to this. They're creating this whole, like, bougie, like, indie spotlight. Like, even the logo, like, the branding of the logo is supposed to evoke, like, oh, this is serious cinema. Like, the fact that there's no color, that it's kind of like this kind of washed out black and white, the fact that the music is so serious. The music kind of reminds me of, like, the music you hear at an award show as you're, like, walking up to, like, grab your award. And I know that's definitely intentional. And I think this is so... Okay, I find this cheesy on a number of issues. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, firstly, I think this is very misguided because by saying that projects under this label are going to be grounded and character-driven suggests that those not under this label won't be grounded and character-driven. So, does that mean everything not under this label deserves to have this fancy prestige logo to it? Does that mean everything not under this label is going to be bad or, like, I guess plot-driven and fantastical? Like, by giving a whole segment of your product, yes, I'm calling it products, that's what a lot of Marvel stuff is right now. By giving a whole segment of your product this label of grounded and character-driven, it means anything not in that category is automatically not that. So, I feel like that's kind of a self-drag. Like, they're admitting that a lot of their stuff is not very grounded or character-driven. And also, does that mean the stuff that gets thrown under this label is, like, stuff you don't really need to see? Is, like, this admitting that stuff like Echo is just extra and not that important? Like, is this label basically saying this is just the extra homework, you don't really need to watch this stuff, but this is just the stuff that's good for you? Is this what they're going for? I feel like this is what they're going for, right? I mean, I want to play this again because the music is just, again, imagine you're going up to the stage to accept your Oscar, and this is what's playing. I mean, it's got that grand, like, I'm taking myself serious. Even the dang, like, font. Look at the font. And we're putting this label on something like Echo? Really? Echo's the first one you want to put under this prestige label? What if it's bad? What if people don't even like it? What if it's like Secret Invasion level bad? No one will ever trust anything under this label again. You are really writing a lot on this show. I think this whole Marvel Spotlight thing is cheesy. I think it's cheesy and it's going to backfire. What do you guys think? Tintamek says one of the characters under the Spotlight label is going to be Squirrel Girl. Man, people keep bringing up Squirrel Girl so much, they might as well. The Free Rocket Man says, gosh, I can't wait for the big MCU reboot. This feels desperate to me. This feels really desperate to me. This feels, I think, because we're about to get to the Marvels, that's the very next story and how badly that one's doing. I think they're seeing how badly that movie's projected to do, and I think if I could just be a fly on the wall at Marvel Studios right now, I bet you they're just panicking. In my head, I'm imagining like the offices are in flames. They're running around like a chicken with their head cut off. Like Kevin Feige is just constantly sweating, because this is the kind of decision that gets made under that environment. Like, what are they doing? What are they doing? This reminds me of like how they tried to have a most popular movie Oscar. Like, I feel like if a movie was put under the Marvel Spotlight banner, that'd be like the equivalent of like a best popular Oscar. It's like, oh, you're good for, you know, a Marvel movie or a Marvel show. I just find it like kind of like ironically degrading, like self-degrading. Like, the fact that they feel like they need an elevated subcategory because they know not all of their stuff is elevated. I don't know. I feel like this is like a self-drag in a way. Does anyone else see this? Michael says, Marvel needs to be sincere again. Spider-Man No Way Home, Guardians 3 have been good. The characters need to have smaller stakes but more personal conflicts. Exactly, smaller stakes. I think that's why Guardians 3 worked so well, is because the stakes were that they had to save Rocket. And that's why you had to care. It wasn't, oh, the world is going to end, even though there was an element of that. That wasn't really like the crux of like what was driving the story. It was about saving Rocket, which is why I think people like myself could actually connect to it. Black Star says, reminds me of that one SpongeBob scene with the multiple SpongeBobs freaking out. Yeah. In fact, I think that's kind of what I was describing in my head as I was thinking about it. Oh, the music sounds like you're about to turn on a gaming console. Yeah, I can see that too. The Blue Gecko Nerd says, I mean, if the intrusive thoughts say something, then that means Disney should just give up at this point. What? What intrusive thoughts? What are you talking about, Blue Gecko Nerd? You always say the craziest stuff. All right. But anyway, getting back to this. They're also, again, they're not letting down. This is Sydney Friedland, who says that the fight scenes in Echo have a little bit of a nod to the Daredevil series on Netflix. They bleed, they die, they get killed. There are real-world consequences. Now, I'm glad that they're admitting there are real-world consequences. I just think it's so funny that there are so many articles here that are like, trust me, they're gonna bleed in this one. This one's gritty, I promise. It's like it's like the only selling point, and they're just like hammering it home. But again, because I think Marvel is, if I'm surprised by the positive reaction to that trailer, I bet Marvel is too. Because now we have news that even Blade is going to be R-rated, and Blade is apparently going to be very gritty. Apparently he's got dignity and integrity, but there is a ferocity there that he usually keeps under the surface. Now we have Deadpool 3 being rated R. We've got this Echo series being mature. I'm sure the Daredevil series now that it's being rebooted again, is going to be mature. This Blade series is going to be rated R. It seems like maybe how Marvel is trying to pivot and fix itself is going down a more R-rated, gritty, violent path, possibly. Do you think that is the path they should go down? I mean, that kind of sounds like they're turning into DC, and we all know how that went. And I do not think that Marvel should be DC, just like DC should not be like Marvel, even though they tried and they failed miserably. Wouldn't it be ironic that as James Gunn goes to DC, he kind of turns DC into like its own sort of goofy comedic way or style, but then at the same time Marvel starts to get more serious and like gritty? Wouldn't it be weird if like they switch tones? I could totally see that happening though. Josh Loves Movies says Blade should have been rated R from the start, like Deadpool 3. I mean, I think these are good for these movies. Like, Blade should be an R-rated movie. Deadpool should be R-rated. We all saw what happened with Deadpool 2 when they tried to make it PG-13. I actually saw that version. It was not good. I get why they're doing rated R, but I do think, like, for the for the Disney brand, not Marvel, but for Disney, is this good for Disney? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you guys think Disney should be delving into R-rated content, even if it's for Marvel? When I thought it was just for one movie like Deadpool 3, I was like, oh, that makes sense. But now they're doing it for Blade, and they're starting to do it for some of their shows. And I'm just wondering, I don't know, I don't think this is good for the Disney brand. Like, Disney is supposed to be family friendly. That's its one thing that it's known for. If half of, like, Marvel movies start being more, like, edgy and violent and rated R, what is that going to do to the Disney brand? I mean, I would even argue that in Multiverse of Madness, there were a couple of shots in there that they got away with a lot because of fantasy violence. I mean, that they were already pushing it. And in Guardians 3. I actually thought a few scenes in Guardians 3 were definitely pushing the PG-13. So I don't know. Leo says, nowadays people want something light and bright, not dark and gritty. I think it depends on the project. But for the most part, I think people are looking for escapism, for sure. Like, for example, Cheetah Viper says Daredevil has some dark things. Daredevil is one of those shows that should be dark because it fits the source material. And I get that. Which is one of the reasons why I don't think Disney should even own Daredevil, because now they're stuck with having to deal with, do we, hurt the Disney brand or we hurt the Daredevil brand? Because I feel like one of those is going to have to suffer. This is why Disney should not own everything. And I was actually quite happy that, the X-Men and these other characters were under another company that could do them properly. Because Disney, again, they're supposed to be a family company. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm really torn. Shelley Lee has been a member for 3 months now. Thank you so much, Shelley Lee. Hell to the no. Okay, I like your assertiveness. Disney was always about innovating their own stuff, not purchasing other IP. I'm so mad at them now. Oh yeah, I bet some of you might not even know that they own Blade now. Yeah, they own it now because they bought Fox. Disney really owns everything. And that's why we're getting these issues. They should not own Blade because Disney should not be making a Blade movie the way that a Blade movie should be made. But they own it, and now they're going to have to make an R-rated Blade movie. Disney! An R-rated Blade movie under the Disney banner. I feel like this is a slippery slope. I really do. I think it's the best thing for the movie, but I don't think it's the best thing for the company. That's my opinion. Katie Brooks says, back when Disney owned Marvel, but they were still seen as separate, it would have been okay. But now that everything is together, Star Wars and other IP too, it's a little hard to draw those lines now. Yeah, I think Disney's having it struggle themselves. They're like, oh my god, we own all these brands. What do we do with them? I think Bob Iger was very good at buying IP and like buying brands, but I don't think he's been proven to be very good at managing them. He's kind of effed up all of them. Mary Lynn Cherry says, if you buy brand after brand, you should expand your horizon. I'm glad they don't PG-13 everything. Okay, so you're okay with Disney expanding into R-rated stuff? I feel like if they was just under a different brand. Like Disney used to own, I guess right now they do own Fox Searchlight. Like, why don't they put this under like Searchlight Pictures or something? I don't know. Blue Gecko Nerd says, because if that's true, that Marvel has followed Disney footsteps into going online and blocking and bashing people for complaining about their films, that really says something. Well, we don't know if that's true. I know we speculated that yesterday. I think it's very much true, but we don't know that for sure. I just think it's true because I've seen so many bots on Twitter, and they're always like using hashtags for Disney Plus shows that no one's actually watching. It's very obvious when you can tell on Twitter what's a bot and what's not. Callie says, if Disney wants to be a monopoly it's aiming for, they're going to have to accept that they can't stay family friendly. Well, that would be very sad. I think we need more family friendly content. I feel like the world is there's not enough stuff for kids. And Disney was supposed to be that. Janisha Clower says, Brittany, Disney really bit off more than they can chew when they first launched the Disney Plus app and started to buy every brand, and now they are not familiar with these different brands. Yeah. Fully agree with you. I'm glad that we're all sort of in agreement with this. I feel like some of you are like, yeah, I don't care. This should just be rated R. It's good for the movie. And some of you are like, no, this is not good for Disney either. I don't know. I think that they have a lot of hard decisions to make. And honestly, I think by 2030, I think Disney as a company, the way things are going, unfortunately, is going to be very different. They're probably going to be bought by like some other big company, probably Apple. And they're probably going to be like half the size of they are now, maybe less. I think bad days for Disney ahead, unfortunately. But anyway, moving on. So the Marvels. Okay. The Marvels. The Marvels is the best. The Marvels is an incoming disaster waiting to happen. The Marvels is honestly every headline, every article I see about this movie, it's just getting worse and worse. And it's like shocking how bad it's tracking. Like pre-sales for this are abysmal. How abysmal are they? Well, this movie is now tracking lower than Black Adam and The Flash. Do you know how bad your movie has to be doing to be tracking worse than Black Adam in The Flash? Okay, in case some of you have no idea why that's so shocking, okay, let me remind you of just how badly The Flash did. So The Flash ended its theatrical run less than the Green Lantern. Less than the Green Lantern. Do you guys know how bad the Green Lantern was? The Green Lantern was so bad it almost killed Ryan Reynolds' career, and he had to come back and reboot with Deadpool. And he still hates that movie. He still talks about how Green Lantern was terrible. And Green Lantern did better than The Flash, and the Marvels can't even do better than The Flash. Like, that's crazy. That's absolutely insane. And that's not even the worst part. It gets worse. The Flash only grossed $139 million at the worldwide box office. That's $4 million less than what Black Adam made, and the budget was $220 million. In fact, it was more than that. It was actually way more than that. In fact, it was actually more around $300 million. So this movie cost $300 million and only made $139 million at the worldwide box office. And the Marvels is tracking worse than this. So I'm giving you some context. Because it gets worse. It gets worse. All right. So, you guys want to know how badly Black Adam did? It almost ruined The Rock's career. Now, I feel like he's been very smartly doing a lot of very smart decisions to build back up his career. But it almost ruined and ended The Rock's career. That's how badly Black Adam did. If you guys remember, he was so desperate to try to portray Black Adam as a success that he was intentionally leaking misleading information to the trades to try to make Black Adam seem like this giant profitable success when it wasn't. And then he got called out for it. Literally got called out for it. Dwayne Johnson reportedly leaked misleading Black Adam profits to the press, and that's how we got this embarrassing Deadline article that's full of lies. That's like, oh yeah, Black Adam was such a success. Like, what are you guys talking about? It didn't flop at all, even though it totally did. And he got caught, like, trying to fake it. I mean, that's how embarrassing Black Adam did. I mean, that was also a huge flop. Very embarrassing. Do you guys remember this at all? Oh man, nobody that you know says, I forgot Black Adam even came out. Yeah. You know what? I tried to watch Black Adam. I got a quarter of the way through the movie. I couldn't finish it. I don't even know why The Rock doesn't even show up until like 15 minutes into the film, for some reason. I got through like the first act and was like, oh, nope, I can't do this. Denisha Clower says, do y'all think The Rock is a bad actor? I've been having a lot of conversations about his acting. I don't think he's a bad actor. I just think he just has one thing he can do, and he does that one thing really well. As long as he's doing his thing, he's fine. But again, Black Adam, major flop. Now, I follow a lot of like box office predictors on Twitter, and they're all sounding the alarm for the Marvels. They're all waving the red flags. They're all saying it's gonna do terrible. So, according to Empire City Box Office, according to what he's looking at, because they're actually looking at pre-sales as well and their own metrics that they can see, this movie is tracking to open between 40 million and 48 million. 40 to 48 million, y'all. This movie could open in the 40s. Not even 50 million. Not even 50 million. That's how terribly this is tracking. 40 to 48 million. And this is another person that I follow, Luis Fernando. I've talked about him before. He talks about a lot about box office tracking and whatnot. And he pointed out something that also was really shocking to me. So the theater, the Odeon in Leicester Square in London, I've actually been to this theater. It's a very popular, very big, fancy theater in a very big touristy part of London. This is like prime, this is like, you know, the equivalent of going to the AMC in Times Square. So the Odeon in Leicester Square is like a big, big deal. And it's one of the most popular theaters in all of London. And look at this. On a Friday night at 8 p.m., look at how badly this is selling. Y'all. Again, this is the Odeon in Leicester Square. The equivalent of like going to the AMC in Times Square. And this is how badly it's selling on Friday night. And there's no previews. No previews. Y'all, do you see this? Do you see this? This is like embarrassing. This is embarrassing. Marvel has had a couple of flops. Like, they've had Quantumania, that was a flop. Eternals was a flop. I actually think all of their pandemic movies were technically flops. But this is their first, like, true bomb. Like, dead on arrival, not even gonna have a big opening and then fall off. Like, it's just truly, there's just no one going to see this. No one going to see this. You're looking at the seats. This is the screen here, and the only seats that are taken are the ones that are, like, got the X through it. Yeah. Very big bomb incoming. And another account that I follow that tracks China's box office says the Marvels is only at 5% of Captain Marvel at the same time in its run of pre-sales. It's only doing 5% of what the first Captain Marvel is doing in China. 5%. That means there's a 95% decline from Captain Marvel to the Marvels, box office-wise. This is how dead on arrival this movie is. I mean, every time I kept seeing these tweets, I was like, wow, it just keeps getting worse and worse. I did not know it could bomb this badly, but it really is. It's about to do so bad. And it gets worse. I know you're like, how can it get worse? Well, it's getting worse. So the Quorum is a research data website that monitors like how much interest and awareness there are in several movies coming up. And so they've been measuring the awareness and interest for the Marvels. And I kid you not, the interest for the Marvels has actually dropped 2 points in the past 5 days. Interest is declining for this movie, not rising. And this was just in the past 5 days. So even with all of these really sad attempts at like trying to tie this movie to the X-Men, throwing in that last minute cameo that we talked about, doing all this desperate stuff, these ugly cat posters, I don't know what's going on with those. It's still losing interest. Still. How? This is awful. It's at 55. Okay, interest for this movie is only at 55%, which, according to them, is the lowest interest of any MCU title since The Eternals. So we're talking about the same interest as a pandemic-level movie, starring a bunch of no-name superheroes that had never been in another movie before, compared to a Captain Marvel sequel, where the first movie made $1 billion, and she's actually been in an Avengers movie. That is sad. That is really sad. Okay, Cartoonist Dave says the movie just looks boring. I have to say, I think the trailers have looked very bad. I don't think the trailers have done this movie any service at all. Thank you, Feather. But yeah, I mean, again, it just keeps getting worse and worse for this movie. So, there was a report in that Variety article that we talked about last week where Variety was going over all of the issues that's going on with Marvel Studios right now and how Marvel's on the decline. Well, as I pointed out to you in my live stream, I feel like some of the stuff that came out in that article must have been leaked from Marvel itself, because it kind of felt like they were trying to throw blame on Nia DaCosta and blame Nia DaCosta, the director of the Marvels, for the Marvels flopping, because they can see the writing on the wall. They know this movie's going to bomb too. So this seems like they're trying to blame the director Nia DaCosta for this, saying that she left the movie in the middle of post-production. If you're directing a $250 million movie, it's kind of weird for the director to leave with a few months to go. So now we're already getting the studio throwing the director under the bus, allegedly. But now Nia DaCosta's fighting back. She did a whole YouTube video talking about, her experience with Marvel and addressed some of these accusations. And she says there's a lot of criticism around Marvel. By the time I left to start prep on my next film, everyone was so clear about what the film was, what we wanted. It really wasn't this dramatic sort of thing people are thinking it is. So she's defending herself like, hey, the movie was already almost done. Apparently, the movie went on much longer than she was contractually originally signed up for. She said that she signed up to work on this movie for 2 years. It ended up being like 3.5 years worth of work, so that's why she had to go work on her other movie. Also, directors leaving in the middle of post-production, especially when most things are already done, is not that abnormal. It's actually pretty normal. So that's why I think it was someone at Marvel, leaking stuff in that article, because I think they were trying to throw Nia DaCosta under the bus. And I'm glad that she's fighting back and defending herself, because she should. She shouldn't have to. And again, why I think, Disney is so just terrible at representation, because the only reason they made the Marvels was because Marvel wanted their own female not female Captain America. They wanted their own female superhero that could rival Wonder Woman. And now we have a sequel to that movie because it was actually pretty successful, but they made it lame. Because in the words of South Park, they added 2 chicks in it and they made it lame. 2 chicks from Disney Plus shows that no one has seen, or at least not really remember. So they did not set up this movie to succeed, is what I'm saying. I feel like Marvel in every way set this movie to fail, entirely. And I think to blame Nia DaCosta and then to turn around and then throw her under the bus, and potentially also Brie Larson too, because I could see them doing that as well once the movie comes out, is so disgusting to me. It's like the only reason you cast Nia DaCosta is because you wanted to say you had a black female director working on your movie and you could say you're being very progressive, right? Because why they don't normally cast black female directors. They only casted one here because it's a female superhero movie, because they feel like only female directors can work with female superheroes, whatever. But you hired Nia DaCosta, and now you're going to turn around and throw her under the bus? How is that, again, helping representation? It's not. It's just proving they were only doing that to seem virtuous, and they didn't actually mean it. And that's why it pisses me off. Nobody that you know says Marvel just needs to end this outlasting franchise. Nobody cared after they killed off Tony Stark. I feel like killing off Tony Stark was a major mistake, and obviously they realize that now. We already talked about it in a few live streams ago, but they are planning to bring back Iron Man and Captain America. I feel like it's way too soon for that, but I mean, they're doing it. Josh Loves Movies says the Marvels was set up for failure when they put it on the same month as Wish. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Wish is going to do that well either, Josh. That's not even competition for it. Now imagine, Dune 2 was supposed to come out around the same time, the week before the Marvels came out. Could you imagine if Dune 2 still came out at this time and hadn't moved because of the strikes? This movie would have done so much worse. So much worse, because it wouldn't have had any of these IMAX screens that are going to be empty. Joshua Munn says Robert Downey Jr. and Jon Favreau warned Marvel not to kill off Iron Man, but no, they didn't listen. They really didn't listen, and boy, they really should have. I feel like the whole heart of the MCU was Tony and Cap, really. It was like the two of them, especially after Captain America Civil War. I feel like that movie really cemented the two of them as they were the beating hearts of that universe. They were, they were the ones getting it to actually reach the heights that it reached. And without them, it just feels like we're left with a bunch of B, C, and D tier characters no one cares about. But anyway, going back to this. So, I found this really funny. I just have to share this really quickly because apparently some Marvel fans are taking the news that the fact that the Marvels might flop, they're taking it very, very harshly. So there's this really funny post that I just wanted to read because I just have to be like, really? This is so funny. People are really this upset about it? Okay, just listen to this. Also, I wanted to give advice for friends who are also MCU fans or comic book movie fans in general. Next week's online chatter about this particular opening weekend might be potentially ugly, depending on how things go. For many, but especially for fans, it might be as ugly as it gets. I'm telling you this because as I do for any other movie, I'll post about the Marvels and its situation at the box office. I love how they say it's a situation. The news and numbers on the post might not be what one hoped for, and the comment section, unfortunately, might have those heated takes and debates we all know full well. So if you think that it will be too overwhelming for you, out of fairness, I'd like you to suggest to unfollow me so you don't get any updates from that could make you feel angry or sad. Don't worry, it's okay. I totally understand that, and you can always follow me back and interact with me again in the future with no issue at all from my part if you want to. I just found this really funny because it's like Marvel fans consoling each other. Like, it's okay if it's too overwhelming for you, if it's too toxic for you, you can unsubscribe. It's okay. And it's like they're trying to console themselves over what is about to be a potential bloodbath at the box office. And like, it's kind of sad. And I do feel sad for fans that are like, oh no, what's happening to my favorite franchise? But it's also like, really? You feel like you have to take a break because the Marvel's box office might be too overwhelming for you? I just had to bring this up because it's like, man, how did Marvel manage to build a parasocial relationship with their fans? Like, they're a company. That's like one thing if you're like Taylor Swift and you're one person. But a company building a parasocial relationship with their fans is crazy to me. But they've really done it. They've really done it. They've got fans like needing safe spaces because the Marvels might flop. I thought this whole thing was funny. But yes. Yes, Dune did look beautiful. Michael says Thor got character assassinated. Dune Part 2 would have shattered the Marvels at the box office. Oh, I can't wait for Dune 2. As you guys know, Dune 2 is now my second most anticipated movie of next year because I still am more excited for Wicked. But I'm very excited for Dune 2. Kelly said, oh no, my millionaires are losing money. Right? Right, Clay, stop. Rusty said, at this point, Marvel fans are just taking it, but not loving it. I know. It's like they're not even happy anymore. Like, this reads as like, guys, I know this weekend's going to be really tough, but we just got to brave it out. It's okay. I don't know. I just got I got a really good laugh out of this. Hi, Jaden's Toys. Burning Daylighter says, the Marvels doesn't feel comics accurate or based on comic book story at all, just random nonsense. Well, most of it seems like random nonsense now. But moving on. I do want to remind you that the budget for the Marvels is $270 million. 270! Now, I actually think this is still underreported. I think it's probably well north of 300 million, but 270 million is bad enough. And it's going to open between 40 to 48 million. This could outbomb Indiana Jones. This is gonna outbomb The Flash. This is gonna outbomb Quantumania. This is gonna outbomb Eternals. This is gonna outbomb, like, almost any major bomb coming out within the last few years. This is like John Carter levels of bomb here, which was the previous biggest bomb of all time. I think this is going to take the cake. I really do. It is an absurd amount of money. Absurd. Nobody that you know says accepting the fact that the Marvels franchise sucks is the best thing an MCU fan can do. Well, I guess as a fan, you don't want to accept the thing that you love is bad. So I get why a lot of fans are still like, no, we're hanging on. But, oof, is it a bad look? Cherry Spice says, between this and Wish, Disney is not going to have a good holiday season. Yeah, Wish is also projected not to do that great. I hope that I still have more faith in that movie than I do the Marvels. just because I think if the music's good, then maybe it can break out, hopefully. But yeah, the Wish is also not looking good. Danny, I was talking about the box office for Indiana Jones. I actually haven't seen the movie itself yet. The cover girl says, here to watch Marvel slowly crumble. I know a lot of people are very excited and happy that Marvel is finally crumbling. Like, people have been waiting for this day. But moving on, I had to point out the fact that the Marvels is, like, tracking worse and worse. Like, every time I talk about the Marvels, there's a new projection out that it's going to do even worse. And I think it's crazy that in 2023, which is only 4 years later after Endgame, we're already starting to talk about Marvel creating the biggest bomb of all time. Like, if you said that just 4 years ago, people would have been like, what? No way. Because 4 years ago, Marvel could do no wrong. I mean, just the fall off that this franchise had off a cliff in just 4 years, I think will be studied in history books. Not should be. I think will be. Because this is literally Hollywood history in the making right here. Cherry Spice says the only good song from Wish is Welcome to Rosas. Yeah, I'm nervous about the music. I didn't like the villain song, unfortunately. Maybe it sounds better in context. I don't know. But moving on to Snow White. So you guys remember that the Snow White movie starring Rachel Zegler has had a number of controversies. It all started with this really a number of interviews, really, where... Actually, no. Hold on. And actually, it all started with Peter Dinklage. It started with Peter Dinklage before it even started with Rachel Zegler. Because Peter Dinklage was like, how dare you, Disney, make a movie with, actors with dwarfism, is it? I am, apparently to him, the only actor with dwarfism who was allowed to work is him. Because he thought it was going to be backwards to have dwarfs in the story. And I'm just like, I don't understand. Okay. I guess what he was concerned about was that, I guess he thought, I don't know, what was he thinking? I guess he thought Disney was just going to be very offensive. I guess he thought just the mere idea of having magical dwarves was going to be offensive. I don't really know, but he made a really big stink about it. In fact, his comments went so viral, they went all over the internet. And apparently Disney took notice, because then we got this awful mess, where we got... Sorry. I'm actually coming over a cold, so if I sound a bit sick, I apologize. So then we got this mess, where, look at this, we got what apparently was supposed to be the 7 dwarves, but now it's some 7 hippies, and they're all wearing, like, anthropology or something, I don't know. And there's only one dwarf here. The entire internet ridiculed this, rightly so, because it looks ridiculous, and it looks so PC and pandering and on the nose, like South Park could have made an entire episode just making fun of this one picture. So, basically, the problems for this entire movie started well before Rachel Zegler even opened her mouth. So, this movie already had problems from the get-go, is what I'm saying. But then we had all of these articles and these interviews with Rachel Zegler get resurfaced where she's critiquing the Snow White movie. And she's critiquing how the old one was dated and has a lot of problematic things in it. And you know what? I'm just going to let her speak for herself.
When I was doing this. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
I'm loving that someone actually put, a compilation of all of her cringeworthy moments in one video for me. That's very helpful. But the fact that there is 2 minutes and 6 seconds of Rachel Zegler so-called being annoying about Snow White on the internet already to just show you just like how much of a negative sentiment there is about this film and about her in particular. I mean, to be honest, she kind of did this herself. She does not come across great in this 2-minute clip. She really doesn't. All of these statements that she made about Snow White just made the entire internet so upset. In fact, there were even reports that the director was furious with Rachel Zegler because they could tell that the entire general public was turning against the movie. Well, Disney apparently knows the public is against it too, because according to this exclusive article, again, this is from Daily Mail, so take it with a heap of salt, apparently Disney is furious with Rachel Zegler as well. And the only reason they delayed the film by an entire year was because they plan to do a lot of reshoots and re-editing because they know people are so upset and angry with this film. Now, at first, I did talk about the fact that there seems to be like two narratives around this. I don't think anyone's entirely certain what's going on. We all know we got this image first, and we thought these were going to be the 7 dwarves. But then we got this picture here where we actually have 7 dwarves. So I think these were supposed to be the original 7 dwarves, but then they got so much backlash they decided to insert CGI dwarves instead. There's another report going out that these were apparently bandits and these were never supposed to be dwarves. I'm not really sure. I honestly think, though, that these were supposed to be the original dwarves, but then they got so much backlash they decided to insert these last minute. Because that's kind of what this article is saying here. This entire article is basically saying that they're having to go back and reshoot a ton of this stuff just because they know people are making fun of it so much. And it's driving the cost of the movie up substantially. In fact, this article actually says that the budget for this film is $330 million. $330 freaking million. Why does this movie cost $330 million? Why did, the Marvels cost $270? Why is Disney spending like minimum $300 million a movie now? Do they not know how to make a movie for a decent price? I feel like they stopped knowing how to make movies for decent prices. Why? Why did Snow White, even before these reshoots, cost $330 million? And now that they're having to add all these reshoots and add in the 7 dwarves because people realized these 7 hippies or whatever were ridiculous, now it's going to shoot up the budget even more because they had to delay it a year, and that's going to jack up the budget. But also, now they're having to add all these CGI dwarves to it, which is also going to jack up the budget. So this movie could be like almost $400 freaking million when it's all said and done. Do you think this movie has a chance in hell at being profitable or a hit when it cost almost $400 million to make, and that's not even including marketing? When this movie already has so much going against it to begin with? I think this is a disaster in the making, and this is what the article is saying. Like, this movie is just a disaster. Disney has no choice but to change it because and get this, by the way. According to their exclusive insiders, they're afraid of not just this movie bombing, but the perception of this movie being so bad that it'll be the next Cats. The producers are worried that this movie is so hated that it's going to be the next Cats. Do you guys remember Cats? This monstrosity of an abomination that I cannot believe actually exists. Do you remember this? Do you? Do you remember the cockroach scene where we had to watch Rebel Wilson eat a bunch of CGI cockroaches? If you don't know what I'm talking about, I envy you. Because I had to see this movie. Well, I didn't have to see this movie. I chose to see this movie because I was like, there's no way I'm going to let a movie be this bad and I can't see it. This was a glorious train wreck to watch. But anyway, I saw this movie. It's not good. But the fact is, they're worried that this movie is getting so hated and so toxic that they're worried this movie is going to be like the next Cats. Now this is shocking. This is shocking. But to be honest with you, when we got those first images of these 7 hippies or whatever, I feel like the reaction to this was as strongly, negatively, as the reactions were to like the first Cats trailer. Like, do you guys remember when the first when the first Cats trailer came out and the entire internet roasted that thing? I feel like it was that same energy again, but when this image dropped. Like, everyone was making fun of it. Everyone. So I kind of understand where they're coming from and why they're afraid this movie's going to be like the next Cats. But the thing is, though, Cats, it was stupid, right? But I bet you Cats didn't cost $400 million. What are they doing over there? What are they doing? Shelley Lee says, I saw Cats. It took months to get the taste out of my mouth. Yeah, Cats was something. Cats was something. Cinephile says, no, Brittany, Trats is correct. Okay. Sure. Natanya says, never seen Cats. Oh, you're not missing much. Save your eyes. Nick just says, it's going to be very bad if it's the next Cats. I know. Oh no, Cinephile, you're still having PTSD. Yeah, I can understand. Kelly says, good Lord, I'm glad I never put myself through that. What, you don't want to see Rebel Wilson eating CGI cockroaches? You don't want to see Sir Ian McKellen as a cat feeling himself up and going meow? I'm sorry, I'm just having flashbacks to that movie. Oh, that was a train wreck. Oh, that was probably one of the best train wrecks I've ever seen. Truly, 10 out of 10. Rachel says, my conspiracy theory is Disney wants its movies to fail. No idea why, but they sure act like that's what they want. I mean, why else would you pay $400 million for your Cat Snow White movie? It sounds like they sure want it to fail to me. Lexi Mickelson says, can't they just give up on this movie? It's really not worth the money. I think the reason why they feel like they can't give up on this movie is because they have more to lose than just their box office. They also have to lose, like, even more of their reputation if people hate it that much. I think that's why they're willing to spend the extra money, even though they know they're going to lose it. At least that's my theory. Oh, Jaden's Toys, you threw up in the theater. Yeah, Taylor Swift couldn't save that movie. She also looked weird in that movie. Everyone looked weird. And there's a butthole cut? Why is there a butthole cut? But anyway, moving on. Sorry, I had to show you this awful CGI, Anyway, the Cats was, if you want to see a 10 out of 10 train wreck movie, watch Cats. Anyway, moving on. So again, they have decided how they're going to fix this movie is by reshooting everything and adding in all these CGI dwarves. And they look terrible. As we've discussed, we've already gone over this picture. But they truly do look terrible. They look like AI creations, CGI abominations, ungodly acts of atrocities on the eyes. I mean, I can't imagine. Again, I don't think that when Peter Dinklage said, you know what, Disney, you shouldn't make a movie with other little people without me. I don't think this is what he had in mind. Because it's still, there's 7 actors, 7 little people who are out of a job. How is this better? How does making weird-looking, gnome-looking creatures better than just hiring 7 real actors? It would have been so much cheaper and looked so much better. I don't understand. I just do not understand. Frankie Wants a Snack says, at first I thought that picture was just a plan, not the official final. Well, the thing is, though, if they are inserting all these CGI, dwarves into the movie, I'm not surprised they don't look finished, because they're probably just now working on it. Desi B says, this looks and feels like what a Shrek film would look like if it were live action. That's a good point. You're right. They do kind of look Shrek-ish. I don't know if that's a compliment, because the Shrek people look a little messed up. So, yeah, you're right, though. Joe Pedro says, yeah, now it's offensive for little people to acknowledge that they exist. And that's why I don't understand why Peter Dinklage had a problem with it to begin with. This is Disney. Disney was never going to make some offensive movie offending little people, Maybe he just didn't want dwarves to be portrayed as, like, magical creatures, I guess. But then, isn't what Disney immediately said that they were going to do in response to what Peter Dinklage said was to turn them into magical creatures? So, I don't know. It all just feels very backwards to me. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Joshua Munn says, and you didn't bring up Hornswoggle. Oh, I didn't know about him either. He was mad about not being cast? Okay, I feel like they should be trying to help each other up, not tearing each other down. Mushy says, I think the Brett Cooper Snow White movie looks more promising. They said it's not going to be political. We'll see. I'm holding my breath about that. I'm not holding my breath, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I feel like both movies could end up being kind of meh, but we'll see. Moving on. Was that the last one? Yes. Okay. So I did ask my members, what do you guys think about this Snow White Disney movie? Do you think they should have delayed it a year? Do you think it's worth it at all reshooting it? Or do you think they should have just, like, basically accepted that the movie's a loss? And I think that they should, to be honest. I think this movie, I don't think they could have delayed this movie 5 years and reshot the whole thing. And I still think just the association with Rachel Zegler and all the controversies that it's already gone through, it never was going to be a hit. It was never going to be a hit. I think all this extra money is just going to be lost. I think right now they're just trying to save their reputation because they have to know this movie's going to bomb no matter what. I think they're just trying to save their reputation. And even then, I don't know if it can be saved. I really don't. Feather thinks they should just scrap it. Yeah, I'm thinking most people are. I think, honestly, they should just scrap it. Or put it on Disney+. Maybe just put it on Disney+. Seems like they don't really care about the quality of that stuff on there anyway, so why don't they put it on Disney+? Anyway, getting to the member question. Nicholas Wilson says, it's a tough call because the reputation has taken a big hit, but writing off $300 million is not that easy. That being said, the film has had a lot of exposure from all that's happened, so there's probably an audience that will go and see it out of morbid curiosity. I think we all know they're having to change the 7 Rainfair refugees into bandits and add in the CGI sleep paralysis demon dwarves, so they're going to have to spend the money to have any chance of saving the film. I love your way of words, Nicholas Wilson. The 7 Renaissance Fair refugees is like a perfect way to describe them. They do look like they're going to the Renaissance Fair. You're right. They do look like that. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I forgot I didn't switch the thing. Here we are. Now you guys can see it. But yeah, I think the costuming is as atrocious as the casting. To be honest, I think the costumes are awful. Katie Brooks says, hi, Brittany, longtime watcher, now finally a member. Well, welcome for being a member, and thank you so much. I don't think this was a smart idea at all. With the slew of other sequels and remakes Disney has up their sleeve, not to mention all of their long list of projects, this seems like a total waste. Of course, scrapping the film entirely isn't cost-effective either, but Disney is so far down the hole, it's hard to really see a bright side to any of this. I think unless they recast Rachel entirely, they may not be saving this film. I think Disney might have to just slap this on Disney Plus and call it a day. I agree. They should totally just throw this on Disney Plus and call it a day. But here's why they won't. I think they won't because I think honestly they're damned if they do and damned if they don't. I think if they do put it on Disney Plus, there will be a contingent of people who will be irate because it'll be like, oh, how dare you put this minority-led movie on a streaming? We can't do this. And so they'll get angry from that crowd. Whereas if they actually put it in theaters, they risk ruining their reputation even further because this is definitely going to bomb. And this will also hurt Rachel's reputation and career. It probably already has. So I think the reason they won't put on Disney Plus is because there will be outrage, but there's obviously going to be outrage either way. So like I said, they're pretty much damned if they do, damned if they don't. Jovic says Disney is so crazy with remakes that they're remaking their dark era. I mean, if they're gonna remake movies, they might as well remake the what's it called, the Robin Hood movie, and they should just make a movie for the furries. Just make a movie for the furries. If they're gonna make mature rated R content now, just go full for it. Just go like full on, make a Robin Hood furries movie, make it hard R, but why not? Slippery slope anyway, right? Anyway, moving on. Lil No says, I don't understand why Disney is so caught up with this movie. Like, they remade Peter Pan and say okay to push it off in Disney Plus, so why Snow White is any different? That's a good point. Why did they put Snow White in theaters, but Peter Pan on Disney Plus? Because I gotta be honest, I have a whole video where I reviewed that Peter Pan movie, and I told you I didn't really like it. So, I'm sure they probably saw it and thought it wasn't good too, and that's why they put it on Disney Plus. So maybe the reason they were going to put Snow White in theaters is because they thought it was actually good? It's totally possible, before all this outrage, that Disney actually thought this movie was going to be a hit. Like, maybe they actually thought they had a hit on their hands. I don't know. That's the only reason I can think of why they didn't want to put it on Disney Plus in the first place. And also, Snow White is supposed to be like one of their big Disney princesses. I mean, she was the first. So maybe that's why. But you're right. If they put Peter Pan on Disney Plus, I don't know why they didn't do it with Snow White too. They could have. They totally could have. Glye, I'm glad you agree with me. Tintimex says Disney should do the ultimate remake. Disney. What? So they should just have all the Disney characters together? They did do that. That was Wreck-It Ralph too. Well, anyway, I think it's a normal thing to do by Disney to postpone it, even though it's already cost them hundreds of millions, but we'll have to wait and see if they make the changes for the better or even for worse. I think the changes they're making are obviously for worse. Because look at the monstrosity we've already looked at, the 7 dwarves. They look terrible. Unless the visual effects get better, they're spending all this extra money for nothing, because it looks worse. Chevon Jr. says, to tell you the truth, given that the Brett Cooper Snow White is being produced, maybe if Disney saw that film and took notes instead of pushing out every single remake that's on their radar, I feel like the live-action Snow White remake should be put back into limbo. By the way, your content inspires me every day. Oh, thank you. You're so kind. Yeah, maybe they should have just put it on limbo, as you said. Maybe they should have just waited. But honestly, the longer they waited for this movie, the more it was going to cost them, because delaying a movie actually adds to the budget, which I found out. That's very interesting. I think, honestly, they should just, take the Band-Aid off and should have just released it as is. Not put any more money into it, not put, a heavy marketing ad campaign into it. Just, the least amount of money as possible, and then try to have, a very quiet release. That's how I would have done it, to be honest. Oh, you guys are talking about furries? I'm sorry, Jaden's Toys. Emmerich says, I heard the test screenings were good. Oh, I heard the opposite. Oh, you mean for Snow White? Right, I was thinking the Marvels for some reason. Yeah, Snow White screenings might have been good. That's true. I mean, Greta Gerwig did write the script. That's the only reason why I have hope this movie might be any good at all, is because Greta Gerwig is involved. But I still have a lot of reservations on the rest of it. But anyway, the CoverGirl official says, with it costing so much, they're not going to make their money back. They should have canceled it instead of wasting more money. Totally agree. Think it's all money down the drain. I don't think it would have made a difference if a different, more likable actress played the role of Snow White. Okay. A remake is still a remake. And Disney was going on and on about doing the remakes for the sake of nostalgia, but they modernized the story, then decided to go back with the original story after the backlash. Does Disney have to have a backlash every time they make a bad movie that's clearly bad before a trailer is even released? This is what I'm talking about, Brienne Solis. This is why I think there are so many executives and producers at Disney that must be totally just clueless. I guess that's the only way to describe it. Because there's so many baffling decisions being made over at Disney that's how did anyone at any point think this was okay? How did... I guess I have to go back to this because you guys, I have to show you. How did anyone in their right ever-loving mind look at this image? Look at these 7 dwarves in these polyester Renaissance fair anthropology costumes and say, you know what, this is going to be a good movie. How? This is what I'm saying when I think, there just must be hella producers over there that are just so out of touch. Because how did anyone ever think this was going to be a good idea? How? How? So, I think, honestly, what Disney needs probably more than anything, they need a clean house. They need new talent. They need new executives. They need new producers. They need people who know what the F they're doing and who have an eye for what is actually relevant and what people actually want to see. Because I feel like people over there have no idea. And what they think people want to see is not at all what people want to see. Because that's the only conclusion I can come up with. The only conclusion. Amorek says, Barbie was always woke. LOL. She had jobs. That's where... Wait, why are we talking about Barbie? The reason why Barbie did so well is because she played up on her own narrative. She's the glittery, sparkly, pink, girl. Well, I don't want to say girl boss because she actually wasn't a girl boss. She was every woman. That's kind of the point. She related to every woman because she literally was every woman. I think Barbie was very smart. Honestly, I think Barbie was a hit because it actually wrote women well, which is something that Disney doesn't do. Anyway, getting back to this. Cheetah Viper says the movie can be saved by getting a new lead. I don't know if the movie can be saved even by recasting Rachel Zegler. Even if they kept the movie as is and just swapped out Rachel Zegler, I think there's such vitriol going against this whole project now. I just can't see it being a hit. It's been tainted, and once it's tainted, it's really hard to untaint a movie. The negative publicity will not go away with a simple delay. They should put it on Disney Plus or scrap it. The work needed to save this movie will cost a fortune. Snow White will have to make Avatar money to make a profit. I'm not sure it will get there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll have to make Avatar money, but with $400 million budget and then say at least another 150 for marketing, I mean, now your movie's going to cost $550 million. I mean, this movie's going to have to make well north of $1 billion just to break even. And that's not going to happen. This movie's not going to make $1 billion. I think this movie might actually outbomb the Marvels. And the Marvels is about to be the biggest bomb ever. So this one's about to do even worse. And it's all coming from Disney. This is what I mean when I say Disney is just taking L after L after L at this point. Oh my god. What did I start with the furry conversation? Oh my god. What is going on in my chat right now? I regret bringing up furries. Oh, okay. I'm gonna distract y'all. Let's get back. Joshua Munn says they should have canned it completely Batgirl style. Yeah, they should have, but they still would have gotten backlash either way. The legendary movie critic says, I think Snow White is doomed at this point, and Disney is trying to do everything they can to save it, but I don't think it can be saved at this point since it has such a high budget, and Rachel Zegler comments are hurting Snow White the more she speaks about the changes to the story. I'm surprised Snow White hasn't been moved to Disney+. Like I said, I think the only reason they're not moving it to Disney Plus is because they're afraid of, people saying, how could you do this to Rachel Zegler? Again, they're in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. I think the opposite of what they should be doing is spending more money on this movie. I think they should just release it as is, take the L. It's going to be embarrassing because obviously whatever the heck they were going to do with this movie was not going to work. But I don't think what they're trying to do with it now is going to work either. So it's all money for naught. It's just, I think it's a waste of money. I really do. This movie's going to be one of the most expensive movies of all time by the time it's finished. And it's going to be one of the biggest box office bombs of all time when it's finished. It's written in stone at this point. Hi, Jaden. Okay, Lexi, she did it to herself. I mean, I'm sure Rachel had no idea her comments would go that viral. I'm sure she didn't even think she was that famous. I'm sure she knows now. But yeah, it's all very unfortunate for her because she's at the very beginning of her career. This is going to follow her forever. I don't know if her career will ever recover. I don't think it will, actually. Especially if Disney is upset with her, I don't think she's going to get hired for a major franchise again. Desi B says, from a consumer perspective, I don't know if there is MUCJ or if there's much to be done to fix this film, especially because there is a lot of controversy and things tainting its image already. Plus, $300 million is a hefty budget, and it's going to be more. I think they should use that money towards actually hiring real-life actors to play the dwarfs, right? It would have been so much cheaper to just hire 7 dwarf actors, than just doing 7 CGI creatures. Like, I have no idea. Again, brain dead decision making over there. Like, what are they doing? However, if Disney plays their cards right, they may be able to fix Snow White a little. Take Sonic 1, for example. If the crew didn't go back and fix Sonic's look per audience response to his initial reveal, the movie would not have done as good as it did, so it's a gamble for Disney at this point. That's true. That's a good point, because if you guys remember with the whole Sonic situation, everyone made fun of the way that Sonic looked when it was first revealed in the trailer, so much so that they had to go back and change Sonic's entire look. And that did end up working for that movie. But I think that movie had a much lower budget to begin with, so when they did those reshoots, it didn't end up costing $400 million. And they only had to replace 1 character as opposed to 7. So I think it's a very different kind of reshoot. I think this is much more extensive in Snow White's case, and it's much more expensive. Especially because Disney's doing it. For some reason, every time Disney does something, it's twice as expensive as it needs to be. So, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I really think, to be honest with you, I think they shouldn't be doing this. I think it's going to cost them way too much, and it's not going to work out for them. Julia Garcia says she's taking the hit for another very poor idea of the Disney executives. Yeah, are you talking about Rachel Zegler? Yeah, that's why I have a problem with Disney's representation, because what they always do is they put these poor girls, or poor whoever really, because even with Finn, you could use Finn as an example from The Force Awakens, or from Star Wars. They take these people, these diverse actors, and they market them as oh, look, we're being progressive. Look at how diverse our cast is. And then when the going gets tough, they throw them under the bus. Every time. That's how you know it's never genuine in the first place, which is why it gets me so upset. But anyway, getting back to this. Natanya Mulling says Disney should have put it on Disney Plus or in a movie theater and let it flop. Delaying the movie is going to hurt this more. Yeah, I agree. They shouldn't have delayed it. They should have just released it, made it as quiet of a release as possible, and just kept it going. There's no way to save this. Burning Daylighter says, making this movie wasn't a necessity to begin with. I feel like the changes were completely unnecessary, and now they have to course correct. But I feel like they might not be able to, since the issues people have with it seem to be greater than what reshoots can accomplish. Oh, that's a great way to put it. The issues that people have with this movie are greater than what the reshoots can accomplish. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying even if they replaced Rachel Zegler at this point, the damage is done. The fact that Disney ever casted her in the first place is the damage is done. I don't think anything that they can do is going to save this movie. I think they're only digging themselves into a financial hole deeper. Yeah, no, there's a lot of reboots getting canceled, unfortunately. Getting back to this, Rio Lynn says, honestly, Disney from the beginning shouldn't have made the alleged changes to the stories they made and have a fix it in post mentality. If they didn't think that way, they wouldn't have been wasting money on reshoots and might not have risked not making a profit. It will flop either way, I think, financially. They will try to fix the reputation, but I believe it won't work out well. Because of all the current drama surrounding the film and the lack of interest now, and the lack of interest in live-action remakes. Their best bet is to release it in theaters, but it will fail to make a profit or break even. I don't even think it will break even. I think the break-even point is so high, it's not even going to sniff break even. I think this movie is just going to outright bomb. I think this movie, total worldwide, will probably come up to 250? 250 worldwide? Which is terrible. Yeah, I think that's optimistic, to be honest. Rhea Rue says they should just release it on Disney Plus and take the loss. Going over $300 million would just make them lose more time and money. I doubt changing the movie will bring people back anyway. Maybe they will get lucky, and people will hate watch it since that is a thing. Wouldn't it be hilarious if this movie actually ended up being a hit because of how many people hate watch it? I don't think it will, because people didn't hate watch The Flash. But wouldn't it be ironic? Again, I don't think it'll happen, but wouldn't it be so funny? Kind of like how the She-Hulk got so many views because a lot of people were just hate watching it. It could be kind of a She-Hulk situation. Not with the holes reference, Blue Gecko Nerd. You always start this. I know it's you. You're starting the holes stuff. Yeah, Nina Nova says, I think Rachel Zegler is going to struggle anyway because the Hunger Games prequel is not looking good either. That's true. Rachel Zegler is in the new Hunger Games movie, and that movie is also looking like it's going to flop. So yeah, if that movie flops too, and then of course this movie bombs as well, she's never going to have a career again. Maybe she'll work in like small indie movies, but she'll never have like a big blockbuster again. Again, sorry if I sound sick. I feel like I sound terrible. I'm sorry. But getting back to this. Jordan Davis says Disney should stop making live-action remakes. Make movies under $100 million or just full-on cancel the project. Well, it sounds like they're starting to do this with Blade. Like, Blade's going to be less than $100 million. I feel like they should do this with every movie from now on that's not an Avengers film. Because I don't think... The only Marvel movie from now on that I feel like very confidently will make $1 billion is Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland. That's it. Not even Deadpool 3, not Fantastic Four, not Captain America, Thunderbolts, any of the other movies, not Blade. The only other MCU movie that I feel confident will actually make $1 billion or more, Spider-Man 4. And that's not even Disney's movie, that's Sony's movie. That's how bad I think Marvel is doing right now, to be honest. Do you guys think any other Marvel movies have a chance other than Spider-Man 4? I know you guys think Deadpool 3. But what else? Do you guys see any other thing, like even getting close to $1 billion? I honestly think like the days of Marvel consistently getting $1 billion are truly over. Like over. Okay, Natalia, you agree. Oh, thank you, Guy. Yeah, I mean, I like Tom Holland, too. I'm glad Tom Holland is basically going to lead the MCU in the future, if he wants to. I really like Tom Holland. They cast him well. Okay, Deadpool 3. A lot of people think Deadpool 3. Joshua Munn, if Spider-Man 4 ever releases, of course it's going to release. Didn't Tom Holland said he wanted to play Spider-Man until the end of time or something like that? Yeah, he's never going to stop playing Spider-Man. They're definitely making the fourth one. I don't think he's tired of Spider-Man. I don't know. I'd be really sad if they didn't make a fourth one, to be honest. I'd be really sad. All right, moving on. Where did I stop? Okay, Rabbi Joe in Jerusalem says, release it, recoup what you can, hope people like it on Disney+. As long as the strike is going on, you have an excuse not to send Rachel Zegler out there. And honestly, probably the less Gal Gadot speaks publicly, the better. Could you imagine... Could you imagine if they could do press right now, like if this movie was actually coming out right now, and they had to have Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot on the press junket? Like, I feel like they would have to delay it just so they couldn't have the two of them on the press junket. That would be a disaster. You're right. That would actually be kind of funny in an alternate universe. But anyway, Nintendo Gaming Chair says Disney should have hired 7 little people. Doesn't matter ethnicity, doesn't matter gender, but nope, Disney chooses to be Nanosphobia Lala. Oh my god. You did not. You did not. Does this say Lollipop Guildophobia? Y'all. Guildophobia. That's so wrong, but that's so funny. Yeah, they should have hired 7 actual actors. Like, it's 7 actual actors, little people who don't have jobs now. And the only reason they don't have jobs is because, like, the actual successful actors who are also dwarves, like Peter Dinklage, told Disney not to do it. So the actual successful actors are like, no, I guess I'm the only one that can be the successful dwarf in town, which I think is really selfish. Like, I just don't understand where Peter Dinklage was coming from. I really don't. What was he afraid Disney was going to do? Why did he think this was better? I'm sure he doesn't. I'm sure he's regretting even mentioning this movie at this point. But yeah, I don't understand where he was coming from. I really don't. Brian says, HA can't even have press for their movie. They messed up so bad. It's so funny. Hunger Games? What's HA? Which one does that stand for? What did I say? You guys are laughing at something I said and I completely forgot. I'm just talking. I'm sorry. Did I say something? What did I say? What are you laughing at now? Sometimes I say stuff and I don't even remember that I said something. But anyway, getting back to this. Star Film Studio says, I don't think so because people aren't stupid. So far, Disney to delay this movie, they have to fix the problem and rip off the actor that had the problem and fix the writing if they want to make a better movie or make more original movies. What is this comment? What did I read? I don't think so because people aren't stupid. So for Disney to delay this movie, they have to fix the problem and rip off the actor. I think what you're trying to say is that they should be fixing the writing and just make better movies, which I totally agree. They should never have even made this live-action Snow White in the first place. If they wanted to make a live-action fantasy princess movie, they should have made an original live-action fantasy princess movie. Like, imagine if Disney actually made an original live-action Disney princess movie. I feel like that would actually do really well, especially if they got a good director, like a Greta Gerwig. Like, imagine Greta Gerwig directing a live-action Disney princess movie with actual music in it. That would do really well. And it's original, so it's a new princess. I feel like that would actually do really well. Burning Daylighter. Oompa Loompa Phobia. Oh my god, I feel like we're all canceled. All of us. The whole team, the whole chat. We're all canceled. These jokes. Julia Garcia's Snow White and the Huntsman was the only good Snow White alternative story, and the first was good. Was that the one with Kristen Stewart? I thought those were just okay. I thought Kristen Stewart was really bad in those movies. Oh my god, I hate having colds. They're terrible. But anyway, I'm Mikey says, to me, I think this is a terrible call. Its budget is already $300 million, and from the new reshoots and delaying it to next year will just make it cost more and more money. Already from the amount of backlash from the movie will not make $600 or $700 million to even make a little money or not even make anything. Are you saying it won't make $600 or $700 million? No, it won't make. I don't think it will make even. Like I said, I don't think it'll even make 300. I think it'll make less than 300 million worldwide. I think this is gonna be like the Marvels, where this movie is just dead on arrival. I think this movie is just dead on arrival. It won't even sniff 600 million. It'll make half of that. I firmly believe it. I think this movie is just. It's done. It's done. Joshua Munn says they still should Batgirl this abomination. They're not going to. They should. Honestly, I think Marvel should Batgirl like most of their slate coming up. I think Marvel should just keep Deadpool, keep Spider-Man 4, and keep Secret Wars, and then Batgirl the rest. Literally the rest. Like everything else they had planned, other than those three things, they should just Batgirl the rest. And for those who don't know what that means, Warner Brothers canceled their own DC Batgirl film, and they made it so no one in the public is ever going to see it, even though they made it. They were going to release it. It's a full movie that's made that is never going to see the light of day because the studio decided that the movie was just so bad that they had to cancel the film and Batgirl that ish. So that's what I'm saying when they're going to Batgirl something. Jane, it's getting late. Oh my goodness, it is getting so late. Oh, why? I just love looking at the time. It's 8:07. How? Oh man. Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna get through these real quick. I'm trying not to make these streams too long. I'm so sorry, y'all. I am gonna clip out these segments, so look out for some clips Smaller segmented clips coming out later in the week. I'm going to start segmenting these live streams because I know they're getting so long. Thank you all for sticking with me to the end, though. I really appreciate it. But getting back to this, though. Where did we end this? Okay. Arvin says, well, they tried to change minds with that first picture, but that didn't change anything, and hate the hair where is the red thing on the head. Oh, yeah, she's not even wearing the red bow. Like, Snow White has a signature red bow, and Rachel Zegler's doesn't even have that. Maybe if the new Hunger Games does do a good job, it will change some options about Rachel. And by 2025, the strikes are over. What do you mean by 2025? 2025? You don't think these strikes are going to be over by 2025? The industry, there will be no industry to return to if these strikes lasted that long. That could not be the case. She can do commercials and say some good stuff, and Gal Gadot hopefully have new lines except repeating she is not going to get saved by the prince. Why does she say that in every video? Give her other lines. Yeah, I don't know. She was very obsessed with the idea that there's no love story. For some reason. I don't know why. It's like such a common feminist thing now. Like, in order to be a proper, feminist or whatever, you have to, like, hate love or hate relationships and romance. I don't know. I find that really weird. I think that's very backwards. Burning day later. I'm glad. It's barely dark here. Where do you live, Riru? But anyway, getting back to this. Where at the end, they should take notes of the hero of the decade, Jonathan Majors. Rachel should dress as Mickey Mouse and save the life of apples from humans. What is this fan fiction? New title of the movie, Rachel to the Rescue, the Apples. That was gonna make $0, Arvin. I'm so sorry. That's gonna make 0. In fact, this might be the first movie to make -$, but I appreciate the support. Ethan Vega says, not trying to be pessimistic, but 100% sure this movie will flop. Reasons being the $300 million budget. Yep, the Disney remake fatigue, the bad word of mouth, and the cast isn't appealing to most people. Particularly with the backlash against Rachel Zegler, who in my opinion is overhated, and what she said wasn't even that bad, just kind of annoying. As I said in one of my streams, I don't even think it's what she said specifically that got people so upset with her. I think it's her tone and her attitude and all of those goofy facial expressions she was pulling. I think it was entirely just her vibe that people weren't messing with. I don't even think it was just what she said. Feather says this stream is a fever dream. I know. Why do I feel that way too, Feather? Oh, you're on the West Coast. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, I think she just annoyed people with her tone and like sort of like holier than thou attitude. I think that's really what turned people off. Rachel Reed's Romance says, putting any more time or money into this project is a terrible idea. Fully agree. Dadpool says, I think Disney needs to cancel this project. Frankly, I think they will. The damage is too deep to be repaired, and the CGI is so horrible, it is laughable. Not to mention the lead actress, one with low acting skills, Gal Gadot, and the other that has become as unlikable as Brie Larson, if not more, and who also has just around average acting skills. Yeah, I mean, we haven't even talked about Gal Gadot's acting skills. She's supposed to play the evil queen. I don't think she has the range or the acting skills to pull off that. The evil queen's supposed to have gravitas, some sass, some presence. I like Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, at least I like the first Wonder Woman, but she has been terrible in like everything else. Literally everything else. So I don't know if she's even well cast as the Red Queen, to be honest, or the Evil Queen. That's a great point. The fact is, everyone's been talking about Rachel Zegler. No one's been talking about Gal Gadot, who I also feel like is also a problem for the movie. If by some chance this movie goes to theaters, the predictable scenario is a lot of hate watching, and even if that won't save them from this epic flop, John Carter level. Yep, that's exactly what I just said. John Carter level flop. Yep, that's how I think this is shaping up. I think the Marvels is shaping up to be a John Carter level flop, and then this is going to eat the Marvels cake. I think the Snow White movie is going to do even worse. Quiet Rabbit says, I'm so sorry about that. What do you mean this movie cost $300 million? How the heck do these movies keep having the most bloated budgets? To be honest, with a budget like that, the movie is dead on arrival. The only explanation I can think of for this is that they think they can salvage the movie enough to get a mid-flop out of it instead of a total bomb. That's an intense gamble, though, and it doesn't work out. Oh boy. I don't think it's going to work out. Like I said, I don't think they think it's going to work out. I think they're trying to just save their reputation so this movie doesn't become the next Cats. Oh my god. I sound so sick. I'm sorry. Hopefully I sound better tomorrow. Yeah, I think they're just spending on this movie to try to save their reputation at this point. I really think that's it. Evil Connor says, chaos and controversy aside, literally no one wants this movie. Snow White was my first favorite film, and I don't want it. No matter who plays Snow White, and no matter if the dwarves are little people, average height, or CGI. They could fix all of the issues, which, if the film is going to be released, certainly need fixing. And I still wouldn't want to see it. Snow White is a charming animated film from 1937 and should stay that way, LOL. Evil Connor, you and I think alike a lot of the time, and we agree here. They should have just focused on something original. Again, imagine if they made original live-action Disney princess movie. And then got like an actual director and writer that knew what they were doing. Like, you got Greta Gerwig to actually write the script for this Snow White movie. Why didn't you get her to make an actual movie? An original movie? I think that would do so well, and it would do so good. Yes. Oh, thank you, Feather. Thank you for the well wishes. I appreciate it. Jovic says, I hate the idea of linking having no romance to feminist characters always. Reinforces a bad stereotype that people still believe in. Yeah, I agree. I kind of wish we would have more. I don't think we need to have more like raunchy, explicit sex scenes or anything, but I would love more of just like romantic relationships and just like nice, wholesome love stories. I would love more of that in my movies, to be honest. And then Mock My Words says cancel this movie. Yeah, I think they're never going to do it, but if they did cancel this movie, it would save them a lot of embarrassment, but they're never going to do it. But thank you everyone who commented here. Thank you for being members. I deeply appreciate it. It does support the channel. If you want to be a member, as always, just press the join button at the bottom of the screen, and that would really help me. All right, thank you everyone. Sorry this went on for way too long. I will be editing out some of these clips into shorter videos for people who do not want to watch a 2.5 hour live stream. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the very end. Thank you everyone for sticking with me through my sick voice. Deeply appreciate it. We'll see you guys tomorrow at the regular time, 4 p.m. Sorry I had to make this live stream late. It's because I had a doctor's appointment. But yes, tomorrow it will be at 4 p.m. like regular, so please be there for that. We have a lot more to talk about. There was a lot of stuff I didn't even get to mention today because I just wanted to focus on these 3 stories. So, yeah, it's going to be another good show tomorrow. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you then. And that's it.